This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911. Disaster strikes.
I'm bleeding myself, but I can't do anything about it. I gotta worry about my family.
A hurricane threatens a family member.
Is that really breathing?
Now, with rescuers trapped by the storm,
Couldn't even get out of the building.
they must fend for themselves.
The worst was yet to come.
Then, it's a deadly downhill ride when a snow tube tumbles out of control.
I can't feel my legs.
On Rescue 911.
When the roof of Lorraine Ayoub's house caved in, her invalid Aunt Lillian was buried in the rubble. But with power down all over Charleston and Hurricane Hugo's tremendous winds relentlessly pounding the city, rescue workers were not even allowed to go out. They could do nothing to help.
My father-in-law, he dug sort of a tunnel so he could reach down and check her vitals, and he was touching her neck.
Her eyes were blinking. It was a fairly rapid pulse. I just hollered at Robert. I said, Robert, she's alive. Let's get her out. She's alive.
What is your aunt's condition? How is she right now?
Critical right now.
Okay.
I don't even know if she's gonna make it. No, sir, she's not conscious.
All right.
Aunt Lillian's pre-existing illness meant that she could not survive more than a few hours without extra oxygen.
Her room is falling in, is what she's saying. The stuff is falling in on her.
We took her out already. Her room fell. I thought she was dead.
Is she sitting up in bed?
No, she can't sit up. She has to lay flat.
Lay flat. Good. Okay,
Right.
That's what we want her to do. We also want to keep her still. We don't want to try to hurt her no more than we have to. Okay.
Okay, I'm trying.
Okay.
She's scared too, I think.
Is she conscious now?
I think she is. No, I don't know. Her eyes are in the back of her head right now.
Well,
I can't tell you.
This was a nightmare. I just knew that her aunt needed emergency medical treatment right then.
All right. Well, is she breathing?
Is that Lillian breathing? Yes, she's breathing.
Okay. All right.
Oh, my God. All the winds in my house. I don't have a ceiling.
Okay. Well, what I want you to do is get somebody to find the oxygen tank, and we're going to put her on some oxygen.
Okay.
Do you have somebody there that can go find the tank for you?
Yeah, wait a minute.
My husband and my son-in-law were going through all the stuff trying to find oxygen. The EMS guy kept me on the phone, and he kept saying, just be calm. It felt good to talk to him because he had a lot of confidence in what he was saying, which made me feel more confident.
My husband's got the oxygen out.
Okay. What I need him to do is hook it up. What is her recommended dose?
She's usually around 2 or 3 liters.
2 or 3 liters?
Right.
All right, go ahead and put her on 4 liters. Okay?
Put her on 4 liters.
But the oxygen tank would not work.
They're trying to get somebody over here, but they can't do it because it's so bad out there.
Need to be calm, all right?
Okay. What's going to happen with my house? What are we going to do?
I don't know. We'll worry about that later, okay?
I'm worried about my babies, and I'm bleeding myself, but I can't do anything about it.
Okay.
But I can't worry about me right now. I got to worry about my family.
Well, we're going.
I looked at Billy Hudson's head, and he was bleeding all over the place, so I checked him out. And in his head, he had a pretty good-sized piece of plaster just sort of lodged in the side of his head. After I had finished with Billy Hudson and my father-in-law had finished with Aunt Lillian, we both proceeded to go upstairs and investigate the damage. At the time, we still didn't realize what had hit us.
Robert and myself were both amazed. We just saw a big hole at the top of the stairs where the upstairs used to be. When I got up the stairs, I saw just pieces of metal everywhere. Still couldn't figure out how did they build a house with large pieces of metal in it.
The wall to the kids' room was pushed back. There was a large metal pipe in Ricky's bed. There was a large light fixture in Michael's bed. If the kids had been in there, they wouldn't have made it.
When we continue,
I didn't think we were going to make it through this. The children asked me, Mommy, are we going to die?
What hit us? The tower hit us? My God, the highway department tower is what hit us.
Hugo's tremendous winds had blown a nearly 300-foot radio tower down onto the house, crushing the roof in and leaving them exposed to the storm.
I thought it looked very grim. Just from what she was giving me on the phone, I didn't know if she could wait.
Okay. In a couple of minutes, it's getting ready to get real calm. Okay? You know where Helm Avenue is?
I knew from the information that was coming in that I was getting ready to pass over Charleston.
in the car. Aunt Lillian, everybody, go to the Helm Avenue EMS station. You know where that is?
Yes.
He told me that as soon as the calm came over, for all of us to evacuate.
After the eye passes and it gets calm, and then the next storm it comes up, is it going to be as bad as it is now?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You should have enough time to get from your house to Helm Avenue.
Okay, I'll try.
That is a safe place, and y'all don't need to be in that house.
Okay.
We'll call them and tell them that you're going to be coming.
Okay.
Y'all just be careful, okay? All right?
Thank you for talking me through this.
All right, man.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I didn't think we were going to make it through this. My children asked me, Mommy, are we going to die? I said, well, whatever it was, we're still alive. Maybe the good Lord's going to let us go the rest of the way. And the whole time I wasn't sure because the walls were rattling. Everything was moving. I mean, the house was really moving. And all I could do was say, please let us get through this.
As the eye of the hurricane approached, the winds gradually died down. But the streets were full of debris.
I climbed through the tower to get my van. The tower just missed my van by 1 inch. It was 1 inch behind my van.
They knew they could not make it to the EMS station during the brief eye of the hurricane. So they decided to go instead to Kenny's mother's house, a block away. But there were too many people to take in one trip.
As they were leaving, I realized that 2 of our friends came inland and stayed in the apartment behind Billy's house, and that was right underneath the tower.
Kenny went to check on his friends. Robert returned for Kenny and Aunt Lillian.
I came back for the second trip, and just as Kenny was getting into the van, the wind really started picking up violently.
From what EMS told us and all past experience of hurricanes, backside hurricane is the strongest because it's that sudden force of wind that comes back and it's going in the opposite direction. The worst was yet to come.
Even as we left and got around the corner to Miss Harris's house. When I got inside and I saw all the cracks in the roof, I said, oh my God, this one could cave in next.
The backside of the hurricane hit, and still the Ayub family had not shown up at the EMS station. The rescue workers were worried.
When the call came in reference to a tower falling on the house, it was just frustrating that you wanted to help somebody, but you couldn't even get out of the building. We were told kind of to stay around and wait till the official word came to go out. But the longer we sat around, the more frustrated we got.
Several hours later, when the winds began to die down, paramedics Jimmy Wagstaff and Bob Shoemate finally got permission to go look for the Ayub family and Aunt Lillian.
We didn't have any address. All we knew was the road, but we figured it wouldn't be hard to find a tower laying across the house.
We met with another crew who was going down to the scene to see if they could find the house.
Both staff cars ended up at the house at about the same time. We noticed the tower laying across several houses. Since me and Bob Shoemate were the only ones with protective gear, we searched the houses. The other 2 paramedics that were there stayed outside in case we got trapped, they could send for help.
The storm started lightening up. As it eased up more, we kept noticing car lights going by the large picture window at my mom's house. And I said, well, let's see what's out there, because we're going to have to get Lillian to the hospital. She can't keep going like this.
All of a sudden, the man come running out of a house with a flashlight. In the back of our mind, we were thinking, this is probably the old lady we're searching for.
We didn't do our normal procedures because we didn't have any equipment to work with. We scooped her up and put her in the back of the car and made our way toward Navy Hospital.
I was never so happy to see anyone in my whole life as I was to see those 2 guys from EMS. And I started to cry because that was the first sight of help we had.
The 2 paramedics drove Aunt Lillian to the nearest hospital. Even before dawn, help began arriving for the devastated city of Charleston.
At daylight, we all went outside. And it was like another world. It was not our home after, living here all our lives. That wasn't our home. This wasn't our street. It looked like a war zone. We went back to look at our house, and we saw this tower just on the house, through the children's bedroom, through my Aunt Lillian's room. To me, the shock was knowing that that was my kid's room and knowing that You know, thank God they weren't there because it was right through their beds.
It was a tremendous shock. I'd have to say that I got really depressed, but I'm grateful that I have such a wonderful family that I depend on and that they depend on me because it gives me purpose.
3 buildings were damaged by the tower. Neighbor Billy Hudson's house across the street was also crushed. But the Ayub family has refused to give up. Demolition has already begun to make way for a new house.
We're going to rebuild that house back, and we're going to go back to that house, and we're going to pick up where we were before the hurricane.
It picks up every day. Things get a little better. And in fact, right after the hurricane, I was telling people, you know, yeah, it's getting a nickel better a day. And I'd say right now we're up to maybe $1 better a day.
2.5 weeks later, Aunt Lillian was released from the hospital and returned home.
My Aunt Lillian just about raised me. I'm happy to take care of her because I love her. I'm all that she has, and I don't mind the responsibility at all. We lost everything. We lost our home, our clothes, everything that we own, we've lost. But we didn't lose each other. We're all grateful to just be alive, no matter what else has happened. And I think we've gotten even closer since Hurricane Hugo.
Next.
So many people take families up to steep mountainous areas to go tubing and don't realize how really dangerous it is.
On February 13th, 1988, in Laramie, Wyoming, some teenagers with a local church group headed out to go snowtubing. On that day, they discovered that life sometimes deals us challenges that can test our strength and our ability to overcome adversity.
It's a little frightening to think that so many people take families up to steep mountainous areas to go tubing and don't realize how really dangerous it is. We average a death and a paralysis per year. And this is just one small area where we live here with a population of only 25,000.
Dana Williams had organized the church youth group outing that day, which included her 17-year-old daughter, Shauna.
Shauna and Tana and Joe headed up there, up the hill, and got up there, and a couple of the other boys started down on their inner tube. And Shauna and Tana and Joe decided they'd move their inner tube over a little ways, because it looked like a more direct path down the hill.
This looks good. Come on.
All right, wait a minute. Okay.
Ready?
Ready? Okay. Okay, let's go.
Shauna's best friend, Leah Meredith, was watching from nearby.
There was no stopping that inner tube at all because it was going so fast.
Oh my God, they're going too fast! Please, look out! Oh my God!
Tana hit a tree with her face, so everyone ran down to see if she was all right, and there was just blood everywhere. She had some cuts on her face, but she wasn't hurt all that bad.
And I ran up there and I said, Shauna, are you all right? And Shauna's head popped back and her eyes got about as big as saucers. And I thought she was dead.
A bystander ran for help. EMT Jim Choate happened to be cross-country skiing in the area.
Need some help. There's been a girl hurt up on the hill. Jim, where's she at?
I didn't have any medical equipment at all, but by having the medical experience that I did, I thought I might be able to help.
And I said, are you okay? Are you okay? And she said, Mom. She said, Mom, am I dreaming? Wake me up. I can't feel my legs.
gonna get you off the mountain. We're gonna get you to the hospital. You're gonna be fine.
And about that time, out of nowhere, came the EMT.
Hi, my name's Jim. I'm an EMT. What happened?
I was so thankful that somebody was there that could take charge and do what needed to be done.
I want you to squeeze for me, okay? When I was doing my initial assessment, she said she had no feeling in her legs. Also, she complained of some severe chest pain.
Push on my hands.
It appeared that her level of consciousness was going down and we needed to get her off the mountain.
A call for help sent a medic unit from the Laramie Fire Department to the scene.
What I'm gonna need is I'm gonna need a jacket, a vest, something small from something to use as a sea collar. Does anybody have a... Time was critical if she had a ruptured aorta or anything like that. And so we fashioned things that we could just to get her immobilized the best that we could and get her down the mountain. Out, okay? 1, 2, 3, lift.
Okay, nice easy step.
They picked her up off the hill. She said, Mom, don't cry. Mom, please don't cry. And I said, Shauna, I won't cry if you don't cry. And we kind of made that pact, and so the two of us tried to just be as strong as we could.
Shauna was rushed to Ivinson Memorial Hospital, where she was admitted under the care of ER physician Carrie Simon.
Open again. She was brought in on the toboggan, still immobilized. She was not moved or her position changed. And a portable x-ray machine was brought in, and we immediately took x-rays of her lateral spine from the neck clear down to the low back.
Then ask Dr. Heracopoulos to bring them back, and we're going to go over the x-rays with them.
Shauna's father, Richard, was notified of the accident and headed to the hospital, where his wife explained what had happened.
Of course, I think, like anybody in that situation, has hope for the best. My initial reaction was maybe that she had a pinched nerve or something along those lines. Feel sharp to you at all? Okay, how about here? No? Does it start feeling up in here?
Yeah, right there.
Right about here, okay.
From an examination of Shauna and her x-rays, orthopedic surgeon Dr. David Kiefer determined that her spinal cord had been severed. She was paralyzed from the chest down.
Dr. Kiefer came into the room and asked us to come into the hallway, and he said, I would consider Shauna a paraplegic from this point forward, and this is what I'd do. I just looked at him, and I thought, you can't be telling me this. You can't be telling me this about her. She likes to ski, and she likes to dance, and she likes to ride bikes. You can't tell this to me.
Going through my mind was, well, this is where we're at. Now what do we have to do next? Where do we go from this point?
Shauna was transferred to Craig Hospital in Denver to begin daily physical therapy to build up her strength and learn how to cope with her new limitations.
The rehabilitation was probably the hardest thing that I'd ever had to go through in my whole life. Learning how to be 17 and knowing that this is probably how it's going to be the rest of your life. But I've learned that you have to be able to have strength in yourself and knowing that you can do whatever you want to do regardless of what the odds are against you.
She was so strong. She was so strong.
That's the way.
Richard and I were just sitting in there one day, and poor Rich put his head down on his arm there in the hospital and just started crying, and she reached over with her hand on his head and she said, "Don't cry, Dad. It's not so bad."
In the 4 years since the accident, Shauna Williams has rebuilt her life. She now works at a bank and lives on her own.
It's really nice knowing that I can live by myself. So when I very first came home from the hospital, I didn't think that was ever going to be possible.
You can use that one.
I admire Shauna's strength a lot because I feel that if I was in that situation, I don't think I would be as independent. I don't think I would be as strong as she is, and I really admire her, and I always have. I had always ridden horses before my accident, and so after the accident, I decided that I wanted to try it again. And when I came back home, then we got the horses out here and started riding, and it's wonderful. It's a good way to get up and out of the chair.
Our dreams really are to be able to start a handicap, wheelchair accessible dude ranch where differently abled people can come and ride horses and go fishing and go snow machining.
I would hope the future would hold being able to walk again, but if it doesn't, that's fine. I'd like to live on a ranch, race horses. That'd be wonderful. It doesn't matter if you're in a chair or if you're walking, you can do anything you want to do. You might have to do it in a little bit different way, but if you really want to do it, there's nothing that can stop me from doing things that I want to do. I don't feel there's anything I can't accomplish, ever.
Step out of the car, please.